Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage. We're going to take a look at games, chat about the gaming news, the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're taking a look at some different games and just as some games have been coming out this year and just some of the conversation around some of those games. Okay, like Marathon is the latest one. Battlefield 6 just had some layoffs, like all four developer studios, and there's been other conversations too, just over the last several years with what's been coming out and how frustrated people are. And to the people that are saying that there's not really, we need to give games a chance, to the people that are saying that like people just want to hate on games, and maybe that's part of it to get clicks and views or whatever. But I think a lot of it is actually genuine because of the games that we used to play or that we grew up with, or even some of the stuff that's being outmatched by indie games today. So we're going to go through a few, and it's just to try to show you the scope of these games, the ability, the player choice, the worlds that we had, the lore that was developed and meshed in with those. And, y'all, it just feels like it's completely missing today. And maybe to a degree, some of us OGs were kind of ruined with what we used to play with. Now, with younger generations, basically, if you're 25 or 26 and younger, you don't really know what you were missing. And that's not your fault, and I don't blame you for that or anything, but you simply just don't know what gaming used to be like. If you're my age, like 35, almost 36 years old, you've probably played some games for a while and you played some of the MMOs and some other stuff, but let's dig into a few. This was Shadow of the Colossus, which was remade, I think, three separate times. This originally was a PlayStation 2 game. They did it for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. They still make it playable for PlayStation 5. And yeah, they have like redone this game multiple times. I think this was also like PS Vita, maybe, or PSP, something like that. But again, just a really well done game with the design, the sheer scale of a lot of the monsters, and really there wasn't anything specific or groundbreaking to a degree. It was just kind of roaming through the world, searching for these monsters. You didn't necessarily know where they were, but like each monster was different. Each had their different characteristics, and you worked on taking each one of them down, ultimately to save her. And so gal, dude, like, yeah, it was just a fun game to explore. There wasn't anything overly amazing or whatever, but just a fun game to actually play. Next, we also had Just Cause 3, which was another really good game. Being able to just explore still one of the biggest maps ever made in a video game, and almost everything is pretty much destructible. Everything in red is destructible, right? And there's the whole point is explosions, and then to the creativity that you had with your grapple, being able to hijack any vehicle that you saw, and being able to do a lot of really crazy stuff, and then to the weapon choice that you had, and to just like the little gems you were able to see and work through was just such a blast. Again, the game was all about you and your world, and just the sheer scale of the map was huge. I mean, yeah, you could literally play this 50, 100 hours, no problem, for most people. It would get a little grindy sometimes, okay, because there's a lot of repetition in the maps like there were back then, but there was so much to explore and enjoy, and it's still a fun game to come back to. There's also Dredge. So this was like an indie game, and when I started playing it, I did not expect the scope to exist in the game. And while everything is kind of like you can tell it's an indie game, right? There's not a lot to expect there. It completely blew me out of the water with what it had, the amount of content to do, the amount of side quests, how the world would change and develop, the changes of the day night cycle while you were fishing, and then, too, the amount of upgrades that you could work toward as well. And even the story was kind of fun to engage with and deal with for the entire thing. So, again, it was just wild to see the scope of the game and how everything was built off of Lovecraft, which is a writer, I believe, in the either late or like early 1900s. So yeah, late 1800s, early 1900s. But yeah, Dredge was such a fun game to actually play and engage with. Next one I want to talk about is ChromeHounds. And ChromeHounds was a game that was a persistent multiplayer. And so there were basically three factions. You could vote for your particular politician at the kind of like during the current cycle of the game. And then at the end, maybe they focused on research and development. So you got a new part at the end or something like that. But you could customize your mech. You had stats you had to worry about. This was also a team based game. And yeah, this game was constantly running in the background. And there were also events in the game, like big boss battles that you could have in certain regions. So you could pick kind of what mission you wanted to do. The game was kind of running in real time, and your faction that you're a part of as a mercenary is constantly fighting just for resources and that kind of thing in the game. And so it was really incredible for its time. And again, this was something that honestly ran to for excuse me, for quite a few years. But people did eventually get tired of it. But something like this today, I think, would be incredible. And ChromeHounds was made by From Software before they really dug into what we know them today for, like Demon Souls and Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Another game, too, just with the sheer creativity and scope of the game, was Eve Online. And you can still play this today. This is literally the map right here. It's still, oh my word, it's so big, dude. Each dot is a solar system, and each solar system has planets and moons and bases, and I mean, just ongoing. And there's even places outside of the solar systems, outside of each dot, uh, where you have to have the technology to be able to get there. But the ships and the factions and the weapons and just the gear and it's all, again, it's all persistent. It's all online all the time. And you can interact with hundreds of thousands of players at any, or millions at any given time when the servers are running. And it is unbelievable. You can do anything you can think of. You can build ships, you can sell stuff, you can trade. There's a whole economy in the game. It truly is something else. So yeah, if you don't want to do the same thing every time, you don't have to. Literally, you can play 20 years and not do everything, or not even see the entire map. It is wild. We can take a look too at World of Tanks. A pretty big game. You had teams of 12 when they brought it over to console. I think it was 7v7. But since then they've bumped it up. But the thing too that's kind of crazy is, they had clan wars, and this was actually kind of a normal thing. But again, you fought over territory, and I know the theme of kind of clan wars or persistence is kind of the same for some of these games. But again, the sheer scope and scale of some of this is what made it fun and dynamic, because you couldn't control everything because the players all had a say in the games that you were playing. Same with EVE Online, same with ChromeHounds, and same with like Clan Wars for the games that actually still do that. But Clan Wars was like a normal thing for a lot of games, and it was actually big for quite a while. But yeah, now this, and I'm glad that this is still going. But for a lot of people, this just is not necessarily happening anymore. I feel like everything's just kind of been necked down. Take a look too at Elder Scrolls Oblivion. While this is the remake, the game again came out in 2006 and was just unbelievable in its scope and its storytelling, the amount of things to do, the choices that you make affecting the game, even the NPCs. Each one had a specific kind of life that they lived, duties that they did, schedules that they kept during the day, every day, or throughout the week. And yeah, you doing things would affect and change things and have consequences, good or bad, in the game. And again, that was incredible to see for a game that was in 2006, 20 years ago now, which, man, oh my gosh, I feel old. We also take a look at Elden Ring, which again was everything that they learned from Demon Souls, the Dark Souls series, Bloodborne, to Elden Ring. Well, it all culminated into this, where the world is so big. This is literally just a piece of the map, but yeah, the world is so big, and while you die often, there were some definite quality of life improvements compared to the previous iterations that they had. But yeah, the sheer scale of the game, of all of the bosses, all of the worlds and regions you can explore, all of the side quests you could do, and the lore to the story, my word, was and is incredible. Um, And yeah, just the sheer scope of all of it put together. I mean, my first playthrough was over 500 hours, and I'm scared to start a second playthrough because I'm not going to be playing anything else or putting out really any content for the channel. So I haven't started it back up again because I know I'm going to get sucked in. It's going to be bad. But this game, too, while it was incredibly beautiful when it launched, was also only 1080p, and people didn't care that it was low resolution, really. They still loved and played and enjoyed the game. And yeah, then there was like over 120 bosses in the game. The yeah, just the design of everything was just so good. Man, it's really something else if you've never played. There's also Need for Speed Heat. Now, Need for Speed has been around for roughly 30 years, which is crazy to say that. But Need for Speed has been around for a long time. But Need for Speed Heat was a really well done game, again, with a large kind of open world, different areas that you could do. Just the way that they designed things in the game too to make you feel immersed and like you were going fast, or that you could just too randomly see players in the game and being able to interact or engage with them. And it was just kind of fun to just kind of race and drive with other people in the game. There's also different challenges. There were different types of races that you could do, and the world also changed depending during the day versus the nighttime. And there were also risks and rewards with that. And so that kind of created this good dynamicism in the game where if you wanted to do something specifically or focus on something a little different, you could actually do that. So it really didn't feel too static. And yeah, I played this game actually quite a bit too. There's also Super Smash Bros., which I'm totally surprised we haven't seen it for Switch 2 yet. But yeah, Super Smash Bros. Again was a wonderful game. Multiplayer co op, the amount of things that we had, the amount of characters that we had, the amount of maps that we had, all of the different things. And the whole thing was focused around fun and co op. You could fight other NPCs or you could fight other players. And this is the Switch 1 version, I believe. And yeah, you could have up to 6 players instead of 4, which is which is wild. And yeah, again, was so incredibly fun and a blast of a game to play. I remember too being a part of tournaments. Um, some friends would get together and just invite a whole bunch of people, and we would just LAN all night playing video games like Halo and Super Smash until like 4 or 5 in the morning, and just having a blast with that. One of the last ones I want to go over is Battlefield 1. And in my opinion, this is the pinnacle of Battlefield. Just with, again, the immersiveness, the planes, the behemoths that you had, the map design for a lot of things. There wasn't any particular map that I really hated, except for maybe one that was like pitch black all the time. Is really hard to see. And that map was like its own horror story, but it's really good with the way things felt, how crude kind of things felt. Again, it was not like laser focused. I mean, you kind of had to plan and learn how each weapon handled and worked, and you really had to kind of think about how you were going to survive the next engagement. And it was pretty common to die pretty quickly. There's also artillery. There was also different planes and tanks and all of this kind of stuff like you would expect from a battlefield. And yeah, the multiplayer was really, really good. And two, part of the destructible environment, of course, was still there, which was wonderful. And just, yeah, the whole surrounding bit of the game just culminated into this crazy immersive World War I experience. And yeah, it was really something else. But yeah, the thing that I just want to focus on is just looking at each one of these games, and there's many more. Leave your favorite down below. But just the scope and scale and the liberty that players had for choice and how they could affect their worlds, and just the experience that these games brought was truly incredible. And then we look at stuff today, and it just does not feel that way at all. Uh, there's a few games that again feel really good, that are really good, like Elden Ring, like Baldur's Gate 3, um, like like Expedition 33, and even again like some. So there's still some of these new spins, some of these kind of innovative ways to make and play games. You know, they're still out there, but like the whole AAA space, the AAA studios and publishers that we grew up with like Activision and EA and Take Two Interactive, they're they're kind of and Ubisoft, they're kind of necking down what they used to be, and it just feels like they're they're maturing into old age and just are not capable anymore. So the younger, newer studios, they're going to come up, they're going to supplant these giants. I mean, Ubisoft has to take cash injections all the time. We also have EA being sold, and Warner Brothers, including their entire game division, is also being sold. And I think it's going to continue. Even Activision Blizzard got sold to Microsoft. So there's been a lot of sales that have been happening in the 2020s. And I don't think it's going to stop because, again, there's too much. It's too much cost and not enough money is coming back. And it's just a numbers game with money. And I think it's really sad. And we just found out too that Blue Point was shut down by PlayStation. We also saw that Ballistic Moon was also shut down by PlayStation, roughly in just the same month. Um, and it's just really frustrating because each of these games, while some of their similarities and definitely some big changes to some, not all of them are online. Not all of them are about destructible environments. Not all of them are about persistent worlds that shift and change while you sleep, and when you come back, you got to figure out what's different. But all of them are fun. All of them focus on an aspect of immersion that just really hit it off with everything coming together for the game. And then, two, the player is first in each one of these games. And that's something else, too, with just live service. I know I hit on this bandwagon a lot for those that have been a part of the channel for a while. But, like, the bandwagon of live service is it's just getting old, and I think players are really getting tired of this. And so when they hear that it's another extraction shooter like Marathon, or when they hear that it's another live service like Battlefield 6 or like Black Ops 7, and they keep focusing on just the next thing, the next trend to follow to make money, we can feel that. Intrinsically, we can feel that. We know what it's going to be. We know where it's going to go. And the thing that was cool with each one of these games is that you lived in the story. It wasn't just you looking at a screen being a part of it or kind of playing through it as something to do like a checklist. No, like when you hopped in and you started playing within that first 5 minutes, you were immersed in the story already and you were a part of that world, making decisions, affecting things, making choices, and having a blast. And that's where the immersion is so important for the player. And today, a lot of games don't feel that way. So the indies are going to pick up what the AAA publishers are getting away from and maturing away from. And I mean, this is just kind of the reality. And this is why I think a lot of them, while their games take a ton of money, like I think it was Black Ops 6 was $700 million to make pre and post launch. $700 million, which is crazy. Just the dev cost for Battlefield 6 was $490 million. Spider-Man 2 was $312 million. These games cost so much money to make, and they're betting the freaking farm on the entire studio or studios. And then when it doesn't, again, make enough, they shut it down. They have layoffs. They close things. They scale backs. There's IPs that get put on the shelf that they're never going to touch, again, because their live service game didn't perform like it should have. And I think, too, of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and Multiverse. Both of those were Warner Brother games that they did not recover from. And they also had some failures, too, with some of their movies. And so, well, here we are with Warner Brothers being sold to Paramount. And so they get the entire gaming division too. And yeah, boy, I think more layoffs are coming. Some of those closures are going to happen in canceled games. And it's just frustrating. So again, if you're 25 and younger, you probably just don't know what you were missing. Because the scale and scope and pushing what was possible was pretty normal, I gotta say. And you kind of made your games to create your own identity of what you were known for. And then that's what you made. And you pushed the envelope off as often as you could. But today that doesn't happen. It's so trend chased to death. It is so copied over and over and over with maybe a different spin or a different visual on it. But again, it's still generally the same thing. And OGs like me, we're just getting tired of it, and we don't want to spend the game. When we actually take a look at Steam on what players buy on a monthly basis, or for the whole year, every year, 2 to 3% of sales are actually new games. The other 97+% is all older games. And the majority of players are playing games that are 6 years or older. Like, and we're just cutting out the 2020s because to us, the games suck and they're frustrating. And this is the thing that I appreciate too with backwards compatibility for Xbox is like I can still buy just some of the original discs from original Xbox and 360 and still play some of those games. And I love that. And then for those that where the disc maybe isn't available, there's also quite a few more on the store right now, like Republic Commando, that I can buy and play and enjoy and relive the experience because I don't want to play Veilguard. I'm not interested in Marathon. I'm not excited for the next Battlefield or Call of Duty game. I just want to play games like this again. And that's the problem that the AAA industry has. So thanks for tuning in, folks. What do you guys think? What's your favorite game? What do you think is missing? What do you actually enjoy about the industry today? And leave it all down in the comments and be a part of the discussion. You can also follow me too at Gaming Garbage 22 if you'd like. Various content every week. And then also you can follow me at Twitch when I can play video games, which hasn't been very often because there's been a lot of news and hey, real life has been pretty busy too. So, but thanks for being patient. I appreciate it. With that, folks, we'll see you guys on the next one.